Starting off on opposite sides there, let's go to number 24, Mississippi State, at now number 6, Alabama. I sort of feel like whoever Alabama was going to play after Tennessee, like that's a revenge game no matter what. But then you have the 17 penalties. You said that game was more about Tennessee than it was about Alabama. Alabama favored by 21 at home in this game.
I was really tempted to take a Mississippi State, but I'm just not going to do it. If Mississippi State had a strong performance last week against Kentucky, throwing the football and had come off a win, then I absolutely would have done it, but I think the line would have been adjusted. I think we saw what happened when you play a defense that's able to get to the quarterback, which I assume Alabama will do a better job of that versus Mississippi State. Will Rogers a little bit more stable in the pocket, but I think this is that bounce-back moment. I don't know if Bama is that same dynastic team that we've seen where it's as automatic that they just come in angry and they blow everybody out the rest of their season. But I think Bryce Young, a week removed, getting healthier from that shoulder injury, I think he'll impress. I think they'll put up the points. And until I see them show those flaws that seem to be creeping through the cracks, I'm going to say Nick Saban addresses those issues and they come out on top of this one.
You know, Danny, I'm right there with you as far as my concern over what this line really says and means. I mean, both teams are coming off losses, so you can make the case, yeah, revenge for Alabama, but I think it's a pretty good Mississippi State team. Will Rogers can obviously spread the football around. If you go back and watch the tape of that Alabama and Tennessee matchup, a couple surprising things. You know, one, the cornerback play as well as the safety play for Alabama. This is probably the most, average skilled players that we've seen for Alabama, really on both sides of the ball, but it got exposed more watching Jalen Hyatt time and time again just run past safeties and run past cornerbacks in Alabama's secondary. So I know they've had some injuries, they got some youth there, but clearly there's been either some lack of development or some misses. And there's nowhere really to hide, especially versus a team that airs out the football like Mississippi State does. So you better expect Mississippi State to implement some of the things they saw Tennessee be successful with. I think the only question is what you brought up. Tennessee's offensive line did a pretty good job versus the pass rush of Alabama. They did get to Hendon Hooker a few times, but it's going to be a different challenge, I think, in this case, because they're not worried about Hooker getting outside the pocket and running. That's not Will Rogers' game. I think the other question you're asking yourself is, can you trust Bama to cover? They're 4-3 against the spread this season. They've obviously struggled at times. This is a big number. I think the outside of that, where else they've struggled, 66 penalties called on them this season. That's the most in FBS. It has been unbelievable how undisciplined this team has been. Last week, obviously, was an issue, but it's been an issue the entire season for this team. So it bothers me as well. I guess I'll lay the 21 points here. I don't feel good about that. I'd rather take the over. I think you're going to see both teams score a bunch of points in this one, but if I have to, I'll lay the points with Bama.
You don't seem very convinced about that. I mean, that whole entire argument, I was waiting for him. We had you taking Alabama there, but I was waiting for you to switch your pick. But you're going to go with that, and you prefer the over, correct?
Correct.
All right, we're going to go with that.
We're both iffy on Bama. Like, it's not one of our favorite plays for sure. 17
penalties that last game. That was a record for them there. All right, recapping what we have right now, the SEC on CBS. Brady Quinn likes Ole Miss there. Danny on the side of LSU, both taking Alabama to cover the 21. Iffy about that. Brady says he likes the over a little bit more. Coming up, we'll head to the Big 12, a handful of ranked versus ranked teams, including Texas, favored on the road in Stillwater, and can TCU continue to be perfect hosting Kansas State? Next. Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.